Looking for Madden 22 Ultimate Team coins? AOEAH.com is the cheapest and most reliable coins on the marketplace. Click the link in the description and use coupon code SPORTS for 3% off your order. YouTube, what's up? It's your boy Duke back here from Sportsgamerz.com, and we got a very special Madden 22 tip video coming for you guys today on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to break down in this video how every zone works in this year's game of Madden 22. So, for all the people that have been asking me what's the difference between this zone, that zone, what do you use this defense for, that defense for, I'm going to show you guys how each zone best is going to be able to stop the run, the pass, and explain in what situations to use each of them. So I want to start by kind of just separating all the zones into categories. We got flat zones, kind of hook zones, and deep zones. So we're going to go basically one category at a time, and I'm going to start with the deep zones, and you're generally going to find deep zones on safeties or corners. Now, obviously, guys, this type of video is not based upon a specific playbook or formation. You could use the knowledge I'm about to show you guys in any defensive playbook formation. It does not matter. So don't worry about your playbook or formation. That does not matter here, guys. So we're just going to come out in cover 3, and I'm going to kind of just explain the difference between all the different zones, deep zones you're going to see. So we're going to come out in, let's just come out in the cover 3 cloud. Now, guys, as a reminder, I do Madden 22 videos on my channel daily. I do tips, gameplays, and news. So if you enjoy this content, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and comment on the video. So guys, the biggest thing you need to know about deep zones is that there's essentially 3 different kinds. There's deep halves, which you typically see in a cover 2 defense. There's quarters, which you typically see in a cover 4 defense. And there's thirds, which you typically see in a cover 3 defense. Now, as far as run stopping is concerned, with these types of zones, deep zones, the only ones that are effective in stopping the run are quartered zones on safeties. They will react to the run immediately. Otherwise, deep zones really aren't going to do much as far as run stopping goes. Now, on this year's game, deep zones are honestly very bad against the pass. If I was to come out and run any sort of play with a deep corner route, you're going to see that really, at the end of the day, it's hard to defend any sort of corner route on this year's game with a deep zone. So we're just going to be in a cover 3. Edge blitz is actually a pretty popular defense right now. And you're going to see that these if you're in any sort of deep half or outside third deep zone, they will not defend corner routes. So you see how he kind of just runs off the corner route to go guard the streak. That's what happens pretty much every time. So if you're going to want to defend a corner route, you need to run a defense that has the outside corner in a quarter zone. Now, that can be cover 4, or even if you're in a cover 3 defense, you can actually just playmaker your corner into a quarter zone, which is generally going to be right, or to the left on the right analog stick. Now, what's going to happen here, especially if you use a baseline press defense, is that the quarter zone no longer is going to run with the streak. As you guys can see, it kind of just gets underneath the corner route. Granted, we were able to aggressive catch, but that is covered much better. If you're enjoying my YouTube content, I highly recommend you check out Sportsgamerz.com. This is where I post all my premium Madden 22 content. I have eBooks, offensive and defensive schemes, plus I do 4 to 6 premium tips every week in the Madden Vault. This content is available for both current and next gen, so no matter what system you play on, we got you guys covered. Our best offer yet is the Sportsgamerz Madden VIP membership. This gives you access to the entire site, every tip, every ebook, plus the meta reports for only $19.99. I'll post a link to it in the description and the comments. Make sure to check it out for the best tips and content available at the best price anywhere. Better. Now, any sort of deep zone this year can actually get bombed up top by deep posts, like plays like PA boot over. So really, deep zones are not very good this year at all. The only use I have for them is quartered zones that are going to help me defend corner routes. Now, moving on, I want to get into the different types of flats you have. Now, this kind of depends upon if you're in a cover 2 or cover 3 or 4 style defense. So if you're in cover 2, you're going to have Now in cover 2, you generally have cloud flats, hard flats, or soft squats. Soft squats you see more so in cover 2 sink style defenses or cover 2 blitzes because they match. Essentially what they do is they'll match unless there's a flat route. So they're going to take their receiver almost in man coverage unless there's a player heading into a zone that's on a flat route. If there is a flat route, he's going to jump down into the flats. So soft squats you generally see, like I said, more in cover 2 sink or blitzing style defenses where you get a little match going on. Now a hard flat, that is going to defend the quick flat area. If someone keeps throwing to the running back out of the backfield, maybe a slot receiver on a flat, a tight end on a flat, a play like this, if someone keeps hitting the flat, it's very good to use a hard flat, as you guys can see here, even though it's Madden 22 and you can't get picks, I guess, this year. But, he played it very well. Versus a cloud flat, as you guys can see, which is what we have by default on this play, that's going to fall back further, and that's going to defend the area that you'll typically see, a corner route more so. Again, Madden 22, the zones are just awful regardless. So, yes, he was there, but still he didn't make a play. Now, there are, this year, there's a lot of deep corner routes that will get by a cloud flat by default, which is why a lot of people will set their zone drops for their flats to 25, 30 yards to help defend against that. Of course, that then opens up the underneath routes, so that's kind of the give or take with that. Now, again, when it comes to talking about stopping the run, cover 2 is actually a very good run defense if someone's running a lot of outside runs, especially like stretches. And the reason for this is one of the unique things about flat zones on the outside corners, they're going to crash in against outside runs. So you guys can see here the cloud flats, if we just want to run stretch or whatever, notice how that corner crashes down. So he kind of sets the edge, so we have to cut a little bit inside. And, we got about 3, maybe 4 yards. Nothing crazy because, again, you guys can see how the corner in the flat zone immediately crashes down, kind of sets that edge. So we have to cut inside it of him, which, then we have the pursuit of the defense there. Some good run D. So that is an advantage of playing cover 2 is the outside run is defended a lot better because those corners in the flats play very aggressive against the run. Generally, guys, on this year's game, when talking about defending the run, if you got zones that are supposed to go deep, like I said, deep zones other than quarters, or, drop back, the further they're supposed to drop back, they're not going to play the run very well, versus if they're, more aggressive at flats, whatnot, they're going to play the run very well. Now, another trick you guys can do is if you want to make all your zones defend the run good, you can, in your coaching adjustments, put your zone drops for the curl flats, the flats, and the hook zones on 0, and then all of them will react to the run immediately. However, obviously, if they do pass the ball, you might be in trouble if all your zone drops at 0. So it's a high risk, high reward type situation. Now, you do have more flat zones, like I said, especially if you're playing a cover 3 or cover 4. So let's get into those types of flat zones now. So here, guys, you can see we have curl flats. Now, curl flats, like I said, these are typically what you're going to see in a cover 3 style defense by maybe the nickel corner, the safety, maybe even the outside linebacker. Now with these, this is more of a zone drop style defense, a curl flat. They're supposed to, buzz down into the flat area. However, I will tell you guys, since a recent gameplay update, curl flats, even when you set them zone drop to 5 yards, they are getting sucked into the middle of the field to where they're not real. If someone is to do something like this to where, they have 2 drags or something coming across the middle of the field, even if your zone drops for these curl flats are set, and here they're not because we're in practice mode, these zones are getting sucked so far inside the middle of the field right now that they're not doing a very good job. Now, I will say there are other types of these zones that it depends upon, again, the style of defense you're in. So if you're in a more cover 3 blitz or a cover 3 match, like buck slant 3, you're going to see you have seam flats instead of curl flats. Now, seam flats, again, these have matching principles built into them. Basically, depending upon the route combo, they are going to almost play as if it's man coverage. So you guys can see here how they essentially are almost similar to kind of like what I said of a soft squat. Like they will play man coverage, essentially match depending upon the route combo. But again, if there is someone they're responsible for in the flat, that is something that you need to be aware of. You can find these seam flats in many different defenses. Mostly, like I said, cover 3 blitzes. So the ever popular Mike Blitz 3 actually does have seam flats by default, and that's actually something sometimes I do like to utilize, is just leaving these seam flats, because if people are running a lot of slants and crossers, these seam flats actually do match. In order to get the seam flats to match, you must have your zone drops off. If you have your zone drops on, the seam flat matching principles will be overridden and they will not match. As you guys can see there, they try to match up on those out routes. Now, if you're in a cover 4 defense, you're going to actually see the last type of flat zone, which is going to be a quarter flat. A quarter flat is something you can see in both cover 4 drop and cover 4 match. So the quarter flat in a matching principle will essentially, as this is a matching cover 4 right here, not a zone drop. Zone drop, again, you're dropping to a spot on the field. Whereas in match, it's kind of like I said in basketball, I've said this a lot on matchup zone. They're going to be looking to defend the, basically depending upon the route combo and an area of the field, and if somebody comes into their area and match, then they match onto that player. So in cover 4 match, the quarter flats, they're essentially responsible for the first guy heading to the flat on their side of the field. So a play like this, you have 2 out routes, right? Well, obviously those quarter flats will, on this respective side of the field, take each out route into man coverage, as you saw there. Now, if you're talking about zone drop cover 4, which you could see in the 2-4-5 odd, and typically how you know this is like a cover 4 quarters, cover 4 palms, etc. Those are matched, but then you see cover 4 drop, right? Cover 4 drop is strictly going to be a zone drop coverage. It says the word drop in it, and the big difference here is instead of seeing the quarter flats that you see in the matching defense, again, you guys can see these are curl flats. So that's another key difference, and I might have misspoke earlier in the video. The quarter flats are only going to be in matching cover 4. You'll see the actual curl flats if you're in zone drop cover 4. And the difference is they're strictly guarding an area of the field. They will not match in drop coverage. As you guys can see here, there's no match going on. They're just strictly guarding an area of the field. The deep zones are not going to match either. Again, the cover 4 quarter deep zones can either match in cover 4 match, or they can just play drop zone as they did here. So the last type of zone I want to break down are going to be hook zones. Hook zones, there's a lot of different kinds. You have 3 receiver hooks, the 3 rec hook zone, which is one of my favorites. You got, of course, the mid-read, which is typically found in cover 2. You have hook curls and vert hooks. So these, again, kind of just depends upon the style of defense you're going to run. Now, one of the, like I said, my favorites is the 3 rec hook zone. The 3 rec hook zone, the 3 receiver hook zone, is going to be found in a lot of cover 3 style blitzes. Crossfire is one of the more common ones you'll see. And this is going to be dependent upon offensive formation, because each offensive formation has the receivers numbered differently. And as you can tell by this zone's name, this zone is going to be looking at the number 3 receiver, essentially. Now, you can control this zone as really all, but especially this zone in particular, by shading. When you shade this zone down, he's going to look more underneath for routes over the middle of the field. Whereas if you shade him up, he's going to look to more routes going deep. So like when you shade it up, he would look to more like posts, crossers, etc. If you shade him down, he's going to come down underneath and look more for drags, in routes, baby routes over the middle of the field. Now, when you're in cover 2, you're typically going to be dealing with vert hooks and mid reads. The mid-read is essentially supposed to carry the deep middle. Unfortunately, on this year's game, it doesn't do a very good job. It can easily get bombed right down the seam. It does not carry the deep middle well enough at all. So when I'm in cover 2, if I'm going to, I'm not going to keep a mid-read on my field unless they have a very quick post route, maybe a post route like a mesh spot, or mesh post, excuse me. He can do a good job against that. But if I'm worried about getting bombed, I'm going to just put him into an inside third. Now, the vertical hook is basically, as its name implies, it's looking vertically. It's going to be looking for seam routes. So if like we had a streak, you guys can see it's going to get underneath that streak. It's basically going to be a zone that you can see. It's going to be guarding the seam area more than anything. Again, it is typically found in cover 2 defense. If you're in cover 3, you're most likely going to see hook curls. Now, hook curls are going to be a little bit different because while vert hooks, you generally see them more in the seams. Hook curls you see generally more so inside the numbers. Now, again, this can be found also in cover 4. As you guys can see here, cover 4 has the hook curls kind of inside the numbers by the 2 inside linebackers. Again, just audibling around the different formations. Some defenses actually will even have cover 3. Will even have a safety in a hook curl, which is it's more unique. Generally in cover 3, you're going to see your safeties probably buzzing down into the flats, but there are some variations of cover 3 as well. Again, the hook curls, they can be zone dropped to defend however deep you want. You can put them at 5 or 10. That's kind of the most common. Or you can shade them underneath or over the top. A lot of times when in cover 3, people will attack your hook zones with slants. And the way to defend that better is to put your zone drop on 5. If you shade underneath, it's a little bit more unreliable in my opinion. These zones, again, are going to be looking to defend the middle of the field. More so inside the numbers than outside the numbers. You guys can see here. Look at Tampa 2. You can see the clear difference. In Tampa 2, the vert hooks are looking for the seams. You can see that those zones are literally in the seams on the numbers in this Tampa 2 play diagram. Whereas if you look at the cover 4 drop, the cover 3 cloud, or the cover 3 sky, you can see that all those hook curls are inside the numbers, not really worried about the seams, okay? And the reason for that is just different style defense. In cover 2, you have 2 deep safeties that are split to cover the sidelines. So the middle is going to be open. The seams are going to be open. That's why you need vert hooks. Whereas in a cover 3 or cover 4, especially cover 3, you have that one safety rotating in the inside third to take away the middle, kind of like you can't really throw the seams, right? So you don't have to worry about the seams as much. I mean, yes, you still kind of do, but because that safety's in the middle of the field, it is a little bit harder to throw them, and that's why we're not seeing our hook zones spread out, running up the seams. We're more so sitting over the middle to try to take away slants and posts, drags, things of that nature. So I hope this video helped explain the difference between all the different zones in the game, what they're kind of used for, what they can defend, as far as both run and pass defense. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. I'm looking to do more of these types of videos in the future, so make sure you guys let me know some feedback on if you enjoyed this video or not. Till next time, smash that like button. It's Duke, and I'm out of here.